Well, friends, it looks like Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon may have put both herself and Donald Trump in an uncomfortable box. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, we now know that Donald Trump's first criminal trial, that's in his 2016 election interference case, the hush money case, the falsifying business records case, his first criminal trial will kick off in New York on March 25th, and it will probably end in early May. And we also know that Donald Trump's second criminal trial, this is his federal prosecution down in Florida. That would be his unlawfully retaining classified documents case, his obstruction of justice case, his espionage case. We know that is scheduled to begin on May 20th. But that's the case being presided over by Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon, who has already been found to have done things that were an abuse of her discretion in favor of Donald Trump. She was reversed by an appellate court. Her impartiality is questioned all day, every day, because she always seems to be making decisions in favor of Donald Trump, but she's the judge we've got at the moment in the Florida case. But because Judge Aileen Cannon is presiding over the federal prosecution in Florida, scheduled to begin on May 20th, there is a chance, perhaps a really good chance, that she will not keep that May 20th trial date. She might cancel it. She might postpone it. She might continue that case until, who knows, the fall of 2024, maybe December of 2024, after the presidential election, heck, maybe 2025. But here's the thing, friends. If Judge Aileen Cannon cancels the May 20th trial date, that could end up being a really bad development for Donald Trump. Let's talk about why that is. But first, let's do a quick recap of Donald Trump's criminal dance card, which at the moment is quite full. This from Forbes. Headline: Trump's 2024 legal cases. Here's when the ex-president could go to trial this year as judge confirms Manhattan trial. And that article begins, a New York State judge confirmed Thursday that former President Donald Trump's criminal case in Manhattan will be the first of his 4 indictments to go to trial next month, as the ex-president's criminal charges are expected to come to a head in the coming months, but other cases could face significant delays. Trial is scheduled to start in the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal case, which accuses him, Trump, of falsifying business records in conjunction with hush money payments made to women during his 2016 campaign, as Judge Juan Merchan affirmed the trial start date at a hearing on Thursday and denied Trump's motion to dismiss the charges. Trump is slated to go to trial in the federal criminal case against him for allegedly mishandling White House documents that he brought back to Mar-a-Lago, though U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon has said she'll review Trump's request to push back the trial date at a hearing in March. That's a hearing on March 1st. And the judge has already pushed back several deadlines, which likely makes it harder for the trial to proceed on time. It remains unclear when Trump's federal trial for trying to overturn the 2020 election will go to trial, after an initial March 4 trial date was delayed, while Trump tries to have his charges thrown out because of presidential immunity. The dispute is now before the Supreme Court after lower judges ruled against Trump, and the Supreme Court's handling of the case will determine when the trial begins. And August 5th is the date that Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis has requested as the trial start date in her criminal case against Trump and his allies for trying to overturn the 2020 election, but it's unclear whether it actually will be the trial date, as no final trial dates have yet been set in that case. So friends, that's a brief overview of Donald Trump's current criminal dance card, right, chock full of trials. But we know now that the first trial will be in New York on March 25th, and that trial will probably finish up early May. We know his second criminal trial is scheduled for May 20th down in Florida. But in that case, Donald Trump has been whining and crying and complaining incessantly about needing more time. That's too soon. We can't go to trial on May 20th. We want you to cancel that trial date, Judge Cannon, and kick it way down the road. Okay, put a pin in that May 20th trial date and Donald Trump's request to have it canceled and pushed farther down the road. Put a pin in that for a minute. Let's go back up to D.C. Remember that Judge Tanya Chutkan, the presiding judge over Donald Trump's federal prosecution in D.C. for trying to overturn the 2020 election, that case right now is on hold. We are just waiting for the Supreme Court any day now to press play, to take it off pause, and to give it back to Judge Chutkan so she can put it back on the trial track. That is very likely to happen in the coming days. So let's play this out, friends. This is where it gets good. If Donald Trump convinces his favorite judge, Aileen Cannon, to cancel his May 20th trial date in Florida because he's been begging and pleading for more time, if she decides to cancel that trial date, you know what I predict Jack Smith will do, the special counsel prosecuting Donald Trump's federal cases? I expect him not to walk, but to run from that Florida courtroom up to federal district court in D.C. You may know that Jack Smith is a triathlete of some accomplishment. He will virtually sprint back to D.C., get the case in front of Judge Chutkan once the Supreme Court takes it off pause, presses play, gives it back to Judge Chutkan, and Jack Smith will say, Judge, you know what? Donald Trump's criminal dance card just freed up a little bit. We now have an open trial date, May 20th, courtesy of Judge Cannon canceling the May 20th trial date down in Florida. Perfect date, Judge Chutkan, for you to take Donald Trump's criminal prosecution in D.C. and drop it right on the calendar for May 20th. That way, the election interference trial in D.C. will get tried and resolved well in advance of the 2024 presidential election. And think about this, friends. If you wanted to see one federal case or the other resolved before the election, would you rather see the classified documents, obstruction of justice, espionage case resolved, which involves Donald Trump stealing documents from the federal government when he left the White House and whisking them away and unlawfully retaining them down at Mar-a-Lago? But that was for conduct after he left the presidency, criminal conduct. Would you rather see that one resolved before the presidential election in November? Or would you rather see a case resolved by which a sitting president of the United States, after losing a presidential election, tried to override the expressed will of the American voter, tried to stop the peaceful transfer of presidential power once he lost that election, try to basically, and in a very real sense, bring an end to American democracy? Would you rather see that case tried and resolved before the November 2024 presidential election rolls around. That would be my preference. Listen, on the evidence, which is overwhelming, he'll be convicted in both of those cases when they finally get to trial. But if I had my druthers, I think the more important case for purposes of the upcoming election and deciding whether Donald Trump has any business even running for office again is his criminal prosecution for trying to overturn the results of a presidential election. So friends, things are getting good, because I have a feeling that May 20 trial date is going to open up, and I have a feeling Jack Smith will take full advantage of it by asking Judge Chutkan to put her trial back on the calendar for that May 20 trial date. And as I say, things are getting good. Things are getting good for us. Things are getting good for accountability. Things are getting good for democracy. But things are getting really bad for Donald Trump. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.